We live in a world where anything is possible. People are now working online, they're working from cafes, they're traveling the world, they are actually getting in healthier relationships with beautiful women. They're buying supercars in their early 20s, and still there are people buying houses in their early 20s, signing, leases and mortgages and settling with ugly women who don't really have the same kind of morals that I would like in my woman, such as, watching things like Love Island and really just being obsessed with drinking and partying, even in their 20s, even into motherhood. So, why is it that when the possibilities of life are endless, that we still choose to settle for less? We've been sold many lies in society. We've been sold the dream that we should buy a house. We've been sold the dream of education, that we should go to university and we should study and we should get a degree that will one day lead to a great job. And in the end, what really happens is you just enter into a sea of thousands and thousands of other graduates who have also been sold that lie. And in the end, you sort of follow the same kind of route as everyone else. You get a kind of okay job that pays you an okay salary. You then sign a mortgage with maybe your partner or your wife, whoever it is, and therefore you continue down the same path as everyone else. And what ends up happening is you end up settling for a life that you didn't really choose, but was actually placed upon you by society and your environment. And I know this to be true because I almost fell into the same trap. I actually graduated from university. I did a business degree for 3 years in Brussels. And what I learned was that it just sets you up for failure in a way. It doesn't really set you up for the life that you really want. You have people online now making money. You have people online traveling the world, being entrepreneurs, being resourceful. And what I found was that when you go about the education route, all it really does is prepare you to be an employee. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee per se, but when you're an employee, it means that you're not really someone who's looking to push boundaries. You're not really anymore looking to level up and grow. At least that's how it felt for me. Like I used to work at my job, and every single time I'd have a performance review, I was just hoping they wouldn't fire me rather than really hoping that, I was going to get some kind of promotion in the role. Because to be honest, I just saw work as a paycheck. And I know that most people that go to their jobs, they feel the same kind of way. And if you're someone that really has that too, where, you know, you have this thing inside of you where you know that you're destined for more and you believe that you've just been scammed, because that's what this really is. It's a scam. The system is designed not really for you and a better life, but actually for them. It's designed for big conglomerates to just keep on making more and more money and keep on printing money, where you as the employee are not actually getting much of the reward yourself. This was a real big problem for me because I felt like I was being used, right? And whenever it feels like you're being used and you're not actually getting a lot out of the company and you're no longer learning, that was a big issue for me. When you start to feel like you're not actually learning that much in your role and you're actually just going there to sort of appease your managers and just keep your mortgage paid and your stuff, just it really is a bad circle of just going around and around and not really getting anywhere fast. So what I chose to do was to step away from that lifestyle and finally bet on myself. But in order to have the courage to bet on myself, in order to feel like I could, what I did first was I got in the best shape of my life. That was something that was really a test for me. For me to be able to have the discipline to show up, for me to be able to, you know, feel like I could step away from that, have the courage, have the belief in myself that I could do that, it was to really focus on getting myself into the best shape of my life. So I chose to do that. And I'll tell you, there are so many other benefits that came with that. I met a beautiful girlfriend who, at the time, actually met me when I was in the transition phase, and she really just helped me take it to the next level and really commit to my goal. So, a big reason as to why most people settle is because they are too afraid to really make the shift. They're too afraid to lose everything that they've built so far for the potential gain that they could have if they did that, right? Like, what people don't realize is that in order to gain something, you have to give up something. In order to succeed in any area of your life, you have to be willing to sacrifice in other areas. And that was something that I had to do. I had to let go of friendships, of relationships, of people that were no longer serving me, and habits and things that I was doing that were also no longer serving me. And I think that is where people get stuck. They struggle to release these attachment to things that have really had a hook on them for many, many years. And it's catastrophic to your goals, because something I had to realize the hard way is that the cost of inaction is more than the cost of action. And, when you choose to do nothing, that's also a choice. If you look at your life right now and you're honest about it and you think about what kind of life you've lived up until this point, is that someone who you actually are proud of? Is that a main character that you've built? Is that someone who you're truly proud of being? Or is that someone who is just a side character? Is that someone who is just normal, just average, just like everyone else? Is it? When I asked myself that same question and I figured out that I was actually just not really special and sort of just like everyone else, it made me realize that I had a lot of work to do. I was behind. And in that moment, I could have blamed everyone else. I wanted to drop out of uni and I didn't. I stayed in uni because I was convinced by someone else who was I think like a president or something in the university, or some kind of staff member that convinced me of basically staying on. And in that moment, like, I could have blamed her. I could have been like, okay, well, she made me, stay in uni an extra 2 years, and I graduated and I did all of this and I lost so much money doing that and I made nothing, right? And in the process of doing that, of choosing to be responsible and accountable to the decisions that I made, right? Nobody forced me to go and sign up to university and stay in university and then go and get a job that I didn't actually really want to do. But in those moments, you have to be ruthless with yourself and you have to be honest, right? If you haven't made the right choices up until this point, then it's okay. It's okay to not have made the right choices up until this point, but it's not okay to keep on lying to yourself about the choices that you've made. It's not okay to just keep on wasting your potential year after year because you're not willing to accept the choices that you've made. That is the problem. The problem is that most people just keep on running away from their choices. They run away from their reality. They, sit in front of a screen all day long, at work, and then they get home just to sit in front of another screen on Netflix or scrolling away. And in the end, nothing actually changes, right? And that is exactly the problem. Nothing changes. So this is a bit of a reality check. It might be a bit hard to hear, but this is what is required in order for you to actually change, is sometimes giving yourself that reality check or having someone else tell you. So that is it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Done.